FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and today is July 25th, 2017. We're still on the road in Vancouver, having a great time. Just visited our webmaster, Stefan, over on Vancouver Island, which if you haven't been to Vancouver Island, it's really worth a trip. Beautiful place. It's right dab in the middle of the Pacific. There's all these other islands around it. You know, it's just off the coast of Vancouver. Actually, it's so close to the U.S. that I even got Verizon service on my cell phone. Just a beautiful place. So we're going to be doing a lot of on-the-scene interviews with many people at the Sprott Resource Conference. In the meantime, wanted to do another Triple Lutz report. And it is time for another Triple Lutz report, but we'll be getting those interviews out to you daily for the next several days. So hey, this is episode 420, and interesting article from of all places, the LA Times, which is a basically useless publication in my estimation, but the conclusion, the headline says it all. Science proves it. Money really can buy happiness. And what they're saying, I always thought money couldn't buy happiness, but it would do until the real thing comes along. But I guess the study has proven my theory on the topic incorrect. And this is an international research team, probably subsidized or paid for with taxpayer dollars from around the world. It says it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. If you feel pressed for time, your life satisfaction can be improved by trading money for minutes that you can use as you wish. And I mean, look, I've been doing this for years. There's nothing new here. I really don't enjoy cleaning my house. It's just one of these things. I'm good at it. Probably better than anybody I could hire. Certainly better than both of my ex-wives. Not as good as my first wife who passed away. She put me to shame. But I actually take some enjoyment out of cleaning the kitchen, making things look nice and all that. But when it comes to vacuuming, mopping floors, etc., I would rather trade dollars for minutes, for sure. Look, I could actually edit a lot of these shows and automate a lot of procedures, but I don't think the show would be as good. So I have Melissa, my trusty producer, been with me over 3 years now, and I'm happy to trade dollars for minutes there, but it also enables me to do a lot more and make me a lot more productive. But were it just a matter of dollars and cents, I could just do it all myself, but that's not the choice. So the researchers, led by Ashley Williams, a new professor at Harvard Business School, began with survey data from 4,500 people in U.S., Canada, Denmark, and the Netherlands. And the people taking the survey were asked whether they paid other people to do unenjoyable daily tasks in order to increase their free time. 28% of the people said yes. And these people spent an average of $148 a month to buy that extra time. And look, buying time, there's just no problem with that. There was a second survey. They didn't really like the first one, but so what it said here was what they lost in currency, they made up for in happiness. And people found that the people who traded money for time were more satisfied with their life than those who didn't. And they also said they were less likely to say they felt time stress, which, we've all felt that, like, just not enough time to do this. I'll tell you, since I stopped practicing law, I've not felt time stress ever again. So they did a second survey that asked more than 1,800 Americans whether they spent money to buy themselves more free time. And this time, half the survey takers said yes, and these people spent roughly $100 a month, household maintenance, shopping. That's another thing. Like, a lot of times I could do painting. I don't enjoy it. It's one of the things I really like to do least in life, paint my home. So gladly I will do it. And my theory in business is always, when you go into business for yourself, you always wind up doing the things you like the least the most, spending the most amount of time on the things you really don't care for. So in that case, buying time to make you more productive is a great thing. And so interestingly, though, this woman, Willens, who conducted this study, had 60 lucky working adults in Vancouver, which is why I kind of picked this out. For 2 consecutive weekends, the researchers gave these volunteers $40 to spend. In one of the weeks, the volunteers were asked to spend the money on a material purchase, and in the other, they were asked to invest their so-called windfall on something that would save them time. And the researchers checked in with the volunteers each weekend to see how they felt after they had spent the money. And as expected, the volunteers reported less time-related stress in the week when they made their time-saving purchase, and more so in the week when they bought their material good. So these people had more positive feelings like joy, enthusiasm, fewer negative feelings, anger, fear, nervousness. I don't know why you needed to study to figure this out, but it's not that the money made you any happier, the act of having money. What it was is what the money could do for you, giving you freedom. That's what they're missing here. It's not that money buys happiness. It's just that it can give you freedom. Freedom can more control over your time, and freedom from having to do various tasks that you don't want to do. That's what it's really all about. So I think they're a little bit off, but they kind of got the gist of it. But, you can prove anything with statistics, right? Hey, so did you catch that China and India are in a border standoff over this little strip of land called Bhutan? China wanted to build a road there. India said, no, we have a treaty guiding this. The treaties are all ambiguous. Some of the treaties go back to 1890. Nobody knows what. Nobody thinks these countries are going to go to war, but what you might not know is they've had a number of conflicts, India and China. One in 1962 that India lost. And, maybe it's a means of population control that they're looking at. I don't know. You could easily see this happening. They are the 2 major players in Asia, and India is probably the only country that has the potential to control or contain China. So here was an interesting thing in the Wall Street Journal. So we'll just have to see what happens with India and China. It's not worth getting all crazed about. If they want to go at it, go at it. But it's going to cost a lot of money. Nobody's going to win this thing in the final analysis. So, interesting piece in the Wall Street Journal. Number of lawsuits, tort lawsuits, which we all feel are abused. And for me as a lawyer, it's kind of sad because I made a lot of money at one point doing work for attorneys who were involved in the tort practice, among others. But the number of lawsuits is falling because of various laws that were passed in places like Kansas and Texas and Mississippi. A whole bunch of states limited tort lawsuits. But it's not just the statutory rules put in place, but rather it's also the economics of these cases. And the fact is, litigation expenses have just continued to get more and more out of control, get higher and higher. And now it just doesn't pay a lot of times to do these lawsuits, especially the smaller ones. If you're suing for less than $50K, it's probably not going to be worth the effort to go for this. Just doesn't make any sense. So you've seen this in a lot of states, even ones that didn't pass tort reform, like New York, where the number of tort cases that get filed have been declining. And of course, especially the states where restrictions have been put in place. On the other hand, contractual lawsuits have gone way, way up, mainly due to the phenomena of debt buying, where credit card companies sell off their bad debt to investors who then sue to collect. Business I'm intimately familiar with. Those cases have gone way, way up, but the people feel like, hey, you did the charges on the card, they can prove it, They've got the documentation. You should be held to account. And so it hasn't been a big backlash, although in places like New York, New Jersey, so-called consumer lawyers have really, gone out of their way, class actions, all this kind of thing, trying to end the whole debt buying, debt selling industry. But interestingly enough, in Texas, where there was very strict limitations put on tort cases, the number of cases fell 27% between 95 and 07. And in other states, it's been even more significant, the decline. So the less a society litigates as a rule, the better. It's really a sign of decadence, a sign of decay, of deterioration. And look, it's a good thing to see the country's litigiousness decline. As far as people not paying their debts, that's not really a dispute between parties. It winds up in a dispute in order for the plaintiffs to enforce their rights against the defendant. But it's not a dispute per se, because most of the time the defendants default when they go to court and nothing happens. And, it's all about what the extent of your injuries, if they're real or imagined, and what can happen in the system. I mean, there's an example everybody always goes back to, the poster woman for this. A jury awarded in 1994 a woman nearly $3 million, 79-year-old woman who sued McDonald's after she spilled coffee in her lap and burnt herself badly. The verdict did get reduced substantially on appeal and eventually was settled. But this highlighted the need to combat frivolous lawsuits. And hey, injuries happen. It's just a fact of life, and it's not always somebody's fault. There's not always a remedy for it. Hey, I just want to tell you, I used to get a lot of shaving cuts, and we've got new sponsor, Harry's. So I get this package from Harry's in the mail, containing this amazing shaving lotion, and it's got like this incredible 5-blade razor. I mean, it's really beautiful. And I got this amazingly close shave, no nicks, no cuts. Somebody once told me, dermatologist said, the reason you have problems shaving is because you have the skin of a baby's behind and the beard of a horse's behind, meaning the coarseness. My beard is very coarse. So Harry's has really, really made a difference. Harry's is amazing. First-rate, high-quality razor blade. And there's a special offer to you in the FSN community. Harry's is so confident you're going to love their blades. They'll give you their trial shave set for free when you sign up at harrys.com. That's HARRYS.com/survival. You just pay the shipping. No big deal. And here's what Harry's is about. All about a great shave at a fair price. You see these major companies, they just jack up the price of razor blades just because they can, because they think they're a monopoly. But Harry's is changing all that. Do you know that over 3 million people have switched to Harry's? I mean, that is pretty amazing. And it's a reaction against the ever-increasing cost of shaving and the fact that Harry's quality is so high. So Jeff and Andy, two ordinary guys who are fed up with buying overpriced razors, started Harry's to fix shaving. And they bought their own German factory with over 100 years of blade making experience to ensure the highest quality. Did you know that all products are backed by a 100% quality guarantee? And let me tell you something, when it comes to making blades, when it comes to steel, the quality of the steel that goes into it, German quality is second to none. Whether it's knives, razors, you name it. And the really great part is that they are offering their blades at half the price of the leading 5-blade razor selling directly to you over the internet. So go and claim your free trial offer from Harry's today. It's $13 you're getting for free when you sign up. All you got to do is cover the shipping. And look, you get this kit. That's what I got. It's a weighted ergonomic razor handle, 5 precision-engineered blades with a lubricating strip and trimmer blade. It's really incredible, rich lathering shave gel, and a travel blade cover. I mean, this is a really great deal. I mean, you could spend $13 just buying the refill blades at the supermarket. I mean, forget it. So go get your free trial. Go to harrys.com/survival right now. Remember, that's harrys.com/survival right now. You got nothing to lose except the high cost of razor blades. They've been going up way faster than the rate of inflation. Time to fight back. Go to harrys.com/survival. Get your free offer now. And let me know what you think. Send me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. So getting back here, you just see that things in the world are getting more and more tense, countries facing off against each other. There's no shortage of the number of potential black swans. You don't think that China fighting India is a black swan? We never even thought about that. Like, they seem to be getting along just fine, lovey-lovey. But now China and India, we have to worry about that as well. And look, it's just totally uncalled for, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And so we look at our Bitcoin, and guess what it has done? It's at 25.33. It was trying to hit its prior high. It didn't, probably going to decline further. And while we're at it, let's talk about gold and silver. So gold is right around the 1252 mark. They attacked it today pretty vigorously, but silver's up to 1652. And I think something is definitely afoot here. Maybe it's the economy. Maybe there's something that's going to happen in the economy. I don't know the answer, but I do know that it's behaving very interestingly. The US dollar, it looks like its decline has cut off at right around 94 for the time being. You know, all of this smart money is saying the dollar is going to keep going up. The dollar is going to keep going up. I don't have the answer. I don't know that is going to be the case. That's going to hit 110 or 125 because the euro is such a mess. The euro is a mess, no question about it. The loonie has gone up against the dollar, like we talked about. That's the Canadian dollar, if you're not aware. It's at 79.94, right where it was from yesterday. So it's gone up 10% against the US dollar. The Aussie dollar, again, almost at exact par with the loonie, with the Canadian dollar. So something that you really need to keep an eye on because it's going to affect things. If the dollar's going up or down, maybe it's going to be great for manufacturing. I don't have the answer to that. I don't think it's the cure-all. Debasing your currency is going to fix fundamental systemic economic problems that you're facing. So right now, the Senate has opened up the debate for healthcare reform, and they need 51 votes to proceed to legislation. That's kind of right. They need 50, and then the vice president presumably will vote along with the Republicans. They're all bitching about it. You know, it's a big you-know-what sandwich. They're all going to have to take a bite. You know, they've got the parliamentarians saying for certain things you need 60 votes to get rid of. They need to get rid of the filibuster. Just dump it and take their chances. And, you know, the Democrats think that by trying to destroy Trump, bringing this whole thing down, helping to boost the swamp, that this is going to get them elected. They have another thing coming to them. It's just never going to work that way. I hate to tell you guys. And China is reportedly boosting its defense preparations along the North Korean border. Interestingly enough, who would have thunk? You know, there's so much going on with North Korea and the U.S. and China. And basically, I think that Trump has more or less thrown the gauntlet down to China. If you want a trade war, don't do anything on North Korea, and you'll see what happens. You know, this guy Scaramucci, I love, he said, if they don't get rid of these leaks, if they don't stop leaking, I will fire everybody. And maybe they should, and maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. But he is not, you know, God forbid the person who leaks and he finds out about it, they are going to be toast. That much you can be sure of. He just terminated this guy from the White House, Michael Short. And they probably knew this guy was leaking from the get-go, but the GOP likes the leakers. They want to undermine Trump's power. If they could get rid of him and have Vice President Pence, that would be great. I don't think that's really going to happen. But this guy, Michael Short, ally of White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, and now former Press Secretary Sean Spicer, was terminated Tuesday by the new White House Communications Director, Anthony Scaramucci, or the Mooch as they call him. And he's just not putting up with this. Maybe the guy was leaking. Maybe he accidentally leaked. Point is, you come in, a clean broom sweeps best. And you just get rid of these guys, and eventually you'll hit the right one. Short said, "No one has told me anything, and the entire premise is false." Yeah, right. It's not right. I mean, the leaks, I enjoy the leaks just as much as the next person. I think they're a necessary part of the democracy. You don't want these people doing stuff in private with no transparency. But the purpose of these leaks is to deliberately undermine the president's policies. Not right. Not right. So there was a little confrontation in the Arabian Gulf yesterday, or maybe this morning, and an Iranian vessel came a little too close to the U.S. naval ship, which fired warning shots. Another black swan. And this one I love. Would you believe, when was the last time you got a refund and you weren't entitled to it? Yeah, like me, never happens to me. But the IRS doled out $24 billion in potentially bogus refunds claimed under several controversial tax credits in 2016, according to a new audit that said $118 million was even paid to people who weren't authorized to work in the U.S. in the first place. And it all comes down to the earned income tax credit. You say you have all these kids and you don't. 16.8 billion there, which means that 25% nearly of earned income tax credit claims are bogus. And then 7.2 billion in payments for the additional child tax credit, 25% there also. So something's got to give. And, it's time for the government to stop just giving away all our money. I mean, for all the waste, corruption, inefficiency, it takes away from their core functions of defending the country, running a legal system, protecting the free market, all that, protecting from enemies within and without. That's supposed to be the purpose of it, for security. So it takes away from that, and then it undermines confidence in the system and winds up in resulting in law breaking. So the better the systems run, the less the functions the government has to perform, the easier, the better job it does with the remaining functions it has. Government can't do everything, but basically the progressive movement, the progressive core, has been all about ever-expansive government. It doesn't work. Just look at the mortgage crisis, look at the banking crisis, look at the Social Security crisis, look at every New Deal program that was created is insolvent. And look at the state of Illinois. They're really in bad shape. Ellen Brown, major advocate of public banking. We're trying to get her on the show now. She proposes that they basically cash out their pension fund. They're going to have to do a constitutional amendment to do that, pay off their debt, and a couple of other things. We'll get into it with her. I think it's an interesting concept. She makes no mention about the corruption in that state, of the thievery that goes on for everything. Chicago's notorious, and the entire state corrupt to the core, but we'll get into that with her as well. I think she just perceives that as a cost of doing business, cost of government. So that's it for today. Check in. We'll be posting our interviews regularly from the floor of the Sprott Resource Conference in beautiful Vancouver. If you're around, you see me, say hello. Hey, I'll talk. I'm not shy. Anyway, that's it. It's been another Triple Lutz Report. Kerry Lutz signing off.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.